Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman from California, Sydney Kamlager-Dove. She is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome, my friend. You heard it right from the horse's mouth. Donald Trump saying he has not changed since the attempt on his life 2 weeks ago. Maybe he's gotten worse, he said. What does this foreshadow for the next 100 days of the campaign against Kamala Harris?
Well, we're going to see him and J.D. Vance using the same very old, tired playbook that he was using 4 years ago. I will say it mirrors the attacks that they have made about her being a DEI hire, which is incredibly false. We know that she was eminently qualified and she brought, additional skill sets and traits that made that ticket both competitive and winning. And if we are going to talk about, getting worse and talking about inclusion, why don't we also talk about things like nepotism inclusion and financial status inclusion and male gender inclusion? Because those are a lot of the boxes that got checked off for Donald Trump to actually become president. We see that in our boardrooms, in our executive suites, even in the halls of Congress. So I hope he's able to talk about the issues that Americans and voters care about. But we know that he doesn't have a platform to run on other than Project 2025. So he's just going to continue to attack and abuse and defame.
You accompanied the vice president on Wednesday on Air Force Two to that rally in Indianapolis. And of course, that was just a couple days after President Biden had dropped out. Obviously, there was some sort of a euphoric sense to a degree. But describe the overall mood at that moment for Harris and her campaign. What did you witness?
Alex, women got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure that they could get through security to be in that convention hall to hear her. And when they did, she raised the roof. She talked about how amazing Joe Biden has been as a president, how progressive he's been. She talked about the issues that all of us care about, making sure that we can afford to live here, making sure that we can afford our homes, unemployment being down, inflation being down. We've managed the cost of healthcare to an extent, lowering the cost of insulin and inhalers. And she talked about her vision for the future. And she said that this future has to include every single person, in this convention hall. But I'll tell you, I got on the plane to go back to Washington, D.C. to vote on those crazy bills put up by the Republicans. And there was an older white man who fist pumped me in the plane and said, "Were you excited to see Kamala Harris? Are you fired up? Are you ready to go?" I am. And I thought, yes, this is what we need to hear. Folks from all stripes, from all walks of life, energized about her campaign.
Boy, that put a smile on your face. I'm sure about that. Let me ask you about what else happened on Wednesday, and that was you and Kamala Harris missing the Israeli prime minister's address to Congress because you were at that Indianapolis rally. However, Harris met with Benjamin Netanyahu the next day with what seemed to be kind of felt like a somewhat cool reception. How much do you think she is weighing swing state electoral factors in her approach to Israel versus the very complicated diplomatic issues that it presents?
Well, I wish that Netanyahu would have said many of the things that Joe Biden said in his address to the nation earlier that week. I met with the families of the hostages before I went to Indianapolis, and they said we need to please push both parties to accept this ceasefire deal. Please release the hostages, push to make sure that these hostages can be released, because if that happens, you will bring a little more stability to the region. You will end the tensions. That is what she said. That is what President Joe Biden said. It makes more sense. It's more important for her to actually be meeting with Netanyahu than sitting in a ceremonial spot for an address to Congress. I think ultimately what swing state voters want is they want to know that we are safe and that our allies around the world are safe. And what we know is that Donald Trump practices isolationism, and he has turned his back on so many of our allies and potential partners. So she is a breath of fresh air, and I hope she continues to talk about the work that she and Joe Biden have done to build better relationships with many of our partners around the world.
What about those fears today from the rocket strike from Lebanon, which killed 12 young people on the soccer field in the Israel-controlled Golan Heights, and the worries it could escalate into an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah? Donald Trump said last night the strike would not have happened had he been president. You're on the Foreign Affairs Committee. So what is your read, first of all, on Donald Trump's comment, then on the situation more broadly, and if the U.S. can help prevent a second front in the war?
Well, he's a liar and he's an agitator, and he was doing nothing to actually ease tensions in the Middle East during his presidency. He certainly was trying to stoke fires. And I think you try to, create some sort of religious war. So one of the reasons why we have seen intensified conflict is because of what he did 4 years ago. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been at the wheel since the beginning, trying to make sure that we can get to an area of peace. I have met with folks, the ambassadors of Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. Many of them are saying, let's all work together because we need a framework for peace that does include a revitalized Palestinian Authority that will allow Palestinians to practice self-determination and pick the government that will work for them. Right now, they don't have any choice. The only choice they have is Hamas, and Hamas is a terrorist organization. And if you can push those discussions forward, then you can ease tensions, you can build trust, and people are more willing to put down arms. Donald Trump does not invoke trust in anyone. So no one is wanting him to become president again.
He has been testing out attack lines on Kamala Harris. Let's check out what he did last night with, this is one that he's repeated a few times now. Take a listen.
No person in American politics has been more of an open borders zealot than borders are. Harris, this was an open border. She was talking about open borders for a long time before anybody was even listening.
Let's remind viewers, President Biden appointed Kamala Harris to address the root causes of migration. I know that you recently created the Global Migration Caucus in Congress. You know this issue is far from being solved. But how can Harris defend herself against attacks like these, with immigration being a major concern for many voters?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump should stop lying and maybe try to protect all of the couches, in his vicinity, considering who his vice president is. Mass migration, human displacement is really a product of root causes like religious persecution, acute poverty, climate change. Joe Biden tasked Vice President Kamala Harris to look at diplomatic strategies that would address those root causes. I just came back from Mexico and we were talking about trade, we were talking about security, we were talking about climate change. People don't want to leave their countries.